Top 10 Horrifying Deaths by Umbrella. Welcome back to Creepshow. Today, we're delving into a surprisingly chilling topic, the dark history of umbrellas as instruments of death. While most people see umbrellas as simple tools for sheltering from the rain, history tells a different story, one filled with horrifying tales of murder and tragedy. From bizarre accidents to premeditated attacks, we'll count down the top 10 most horrifying deaths caused by umbrellas. Prepare yourself for a journey through the eerie and unexpected side of this everyday item. Number 10. Criminal Eye Gouger. In the late 1800s, New York seemed to have a peculiar problem with people gouging eyes out using umbrellas. Perhaps it was because, for many, it was the most readily available weapon. It was common to walk around with an umbrella, whether it was raining or just a bit cloudy. And if someone happened to tick you off, there was that handy point on the end of the umbrella, perfect for poking someone's eye out. In 1891, 3 men went to a bar and enjoyed a few drinks. When they finished, Doyle was set to go one way, while Hobbs and a stranger went another. Doyle watched as the men walked off, overhearing them engage in a heated argument about horse jockeys. Then, for seemingly no reason at all, Doyle witnessed the stranger stab Hobbs in the eye with the pointy end of his umbrella before running off into the night. Doyle and several other men rushed to Hobbs's side, and an ambulance was called. Unfortunately, the young doctor who examined Hobbs declared the wound a mere scratch and advised that he should sleep off the alcohol. Tragically, after Hobbs died, it was discovered that the umbrella had penetrated his brain by 4 inches. No one knew who the stranger was, except that he had an English accent. Number 9. Alleged unlawful assault. By all accounts, Alexander Crombie seemed like a troublemaker, destined for nothing good. In 1890, witnesses in Melbourne reported that Crombie was loitering outside a hotel when Robinson stepped out after enjoying a drink of lime juice and club soda. Crombie started hurling some words at him. While none of the witnesses heard exactly what was said, they all saw Crombie suddenly lift his umbrella and stab Robinson in the left eye. Robinson cried out and stumbled into the road. His friend rushed to his side, pulled a handkerchief from Robinson's pocket, and wrapped it around his head as blood poured from the wound. Another man went to fetch his lorry to drive him to the hospital. Amidst the chaos, Crombie nonchalantly offered the other men the same eye poke treatment. As they drove off, he called out to the crowd, asking if anyone had seen Robinson strike him first, but no one came forward to testify on his behalf. Robinson ultimately succumbed to his wound, and Crombie was arrested. He claimed that Robinson had hit him first, knocking off his hat. However, witnesses insisted they hadn't seen Robinson strike Crombie, and they noted that Crombie's hat had remained on his head the entire time. Over a month later, Crombie was acquitted on the charge of causing the death of Charles Robinson by accidentally poking his eye out. In 1906, Alexander Crombie was arrested again, this time charged with drunkenness. The following day, he was found unconscious in his cell and taken to the hospital, where he died a few hours later. Number 8. Dangerous in the hands of children. Umbrellas are one of those everyday items that should never be placed in the hands of unsupervised children. In 1909, a heartbreaking story made its way into the Chicago newspapers about 2 little boys. The older boy, just 11 years old, was playing inside their home when he suddenly ran into a room and shut the door behind him. The 5-year-old brother quickly followed and looked through the keyhole, curious to see what was happening. In a tragic twist, the older boy took the wire ribbing from an umbrella and poked it through the keyhole, stabbing his little brother right in the eye. The young boy was rushed to the doctor, but it was too late. The examination revealed that his eyeball had been destroyed, and he died shortly thereafter. Number 7. A fight over an umbrella. In a bizarre and tragic incident, 2 Italians got into a fight over an umbrella, and what happened next was no laughing matter. This took place in Connecticut in 1906, shortly after the 2 men, both in their mid to late 30s, had left a christening. The dispute began when both men claimed that the umbrella was theirs, leading to a heated argument. Things escalated quickly when Michael, in a fit of rage, stabbed Bernardino in the eye with the contested umbrella. Michael then fled the scene, while Bernardino was rushed to the hospital. Unfortunately, he died just an hour later. Shortly after his death, Michael was located and arrested. When questioned about the stabbing, Michael claimed he had only struck the other man with the umbrella, but denied having hit him in the face. Number 6. Penetrated the brain. While many stories involve eyes being poked out by the pointy ends of umbrellas, this case from 1904 is a little different. One night, a coal miner from Indiana collapsed and fell dead in front of the Opera House. Witnesses reported seeing him engaged in an argument, but no one knew who the other man was. With little to go on, the police were left with a dead body and many unanswered questions. Upon investigation, it was determined that the cause of death resulted from a wound at the base of the skull. The injury had penetrated the brain, but perplexingly, no bullet was found. This led to a deeper inquiry to uncover what type of weapon had been used. Eventually, police realized that the wound had been made by the point of an umbrella. A young man of 19 came forward and confessed to killing the miner with his umbrella during the heated argument. He was subsequently arrested and placed under a $5,000 bond. Number 5. Probably self-defense. This case had numerous witnesses, but none seemed to agree on what actually happened. On April 18, 1908, several men were gathered inside a bar in Tamworth, New South Wales. According to one witness, Constable Jennings, the tension escalated when Henry Brown declared he was going to get into a fight with William Wellborn before the night was through. Moments later, the constable saw Wellborn throw up his arms and collapse to the ground. Rushing to the scene, Jennings observed blood streaming from a wound above Wellborn's left eye. Brown was promptly arrested, and an umbrella was discovered in the yard. Another witness, a butcher, claimed that Brown had tried to initiate a fight with Wellborn inside the bar. After exchanging a few blows, the men stepped outside. Brown pulled a bottle from his pocket, ready to throw it, but the butcher managed to knock it out of his hand. Brown then retrieved a second bottle, and again, the butcher struggled to wrest it away from him. Suddenly, a fall was heard, and when the butcher turned around, Wellborn was lying on the ground. A third witness, also a butcher, saw Brown shove the umbrella toward Wellborn, but could not determine if it was an act of self-defense. Finally, a fourth witness testified that Brown held up the umbrella in self-defense, claiming that Wellborn simply ran into it. After reviewing all the evidence in court, it was decided that Brown was likely acting in self-defense, resulting in a verdict of not guilty. Number 4. Feuding brothers. Some brothers are born mortal enemies, and the case of William and James Fogarty is a perfect example. These two had been at odds for many years, with James overheard stating that he would have his brother's blood one day. Unfortunately for James, William got to him first. This incident occurred in New York City in 1888. Where witnesses reported seeing William attack and stab James in the eye with an umbrella. Following the attack, William was arrested, and it was claimed that he initially admitted to killing his brother. However, the next day, he recanted his confession, insisting he never admitted any guilt. In court, William was portrayed as a hardened man who displayed no emotion over his brother's death. In fact, he appeared completely indifferent to the entire affair. As a result, the judge sentenced William to the Tombs for the murder of his brother. Number 3. The umbrella murder. Among all the deaths caused by umbrellas, one case stands out as infamously known as the umbrella murder. This tragic incident occurred in November 1908 in Shepherd's Bush, London. Ernest Smith was a well-known manager of a dairy business. One day, after finishing some errands, he stopped at Shepherd's Bush to confront a man, someone he did not know, who was abusing a woman. Annoyed by Ernest's interference, the stranger followed him as he went about his business and eventually into a tramway car. Inside the car, the stranger stabbed Ernest near his left eye with the steel point of an umbrella. Ernest fell from the car and landed on the street, where he was later found. The assailant vanished from the scene, and tragically, Ernest died that night in the hospital. An investigation was launched, and it wasn't long before the authorities identified the attacker as a man named William Ward. A reward was offered for his arrest, but he seemed to have disappeared into thin air until 1912, when he was discovered and arrested in Perth, Australia. Ward was brought back to England to face trial for his crime. Ultimately, he was found guilty of manslaughter and sentenced to serve 9 months in prison. Number 2. Another senseless murder. In 1899, a newspaper reported a second umbrella murder in the city of Chicago in less than a year. Perhaps umbrellas should have been banned, or at the very least, redesigned without that long point at the end. The latest murder involved a waiter and a disgruntled customer. According to the account, the customer became upset over the cost of his meal, leading to a heated argument between the two men. Frustrated beyond control, the waiter rushed at the customer. In response, the customer held up his umbrella, and in a tragic turn of events, the waiter's lung was pierced. The customer was promptly arrested, while the waiter was taken to the hospital, where he sadly succumbed to his injuries. Earlier in the year, a woman had also been stabbed by a man wielding an umbrella. Something quite unusual, as most cases involving umbrella stabbings typically occurred between men. Number 1. The poisoned umbrella. It's a case that many people have heard of. In 1978, Georgi Markov, a Bulgarian dissident and a BBC journalist, was poked in the back of his leg by an umbrella held by an unknown man. After the man ran off, Mr. Markov soon complained that his leg had gone stiff. The next day, he was taken to St. James's Hospital in Balham, where he spoke about the mysterious umbrella man. Markov was described as being very toxic, suffering from a high fever. He was diagnosed with septicemia, but unfortunately, the antibiotics failed to cure him. Tragically, he died a few days later from cardiac arrest. Upon inspection, doctors found a puncture wound on the back of his leg, where he claimed he had been jabbed by the umbrella. An X-ray revealed a platinum pellet lodged inside the wound. The pellet was removed, and tests showed that 2 small holes drilled into it contained ricin, a potent toxin. The murder of Georgi Markov remains unsolved, but it is generally believed to have been carried out by the Bulgarian secret services. Thanks for watching this unsettling exploration of the lethal potential of umbrellas here on Creepshow. Who would have thought that a tool designed for protection could be associated with such horror? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think umbrellas should be viewed with more caution? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on our spine-tingling stories. Until next time, stay safe and stay curious.